Hello there. As I announced a few months ago, I have a Patreon page, and as a part of the Patreon offer, I offer to make analysis of one of your games, depending which Patreon package you choose. And this user, which now plays as Black in this game, has a Patreon account, and he asked me to analyze this game on my channel. So I will analyze the game, and since this is the first video of this sort, I just want to say a few things. The point of this analysis is to help you to see your weaknesses and to see some errors maybe in your positional thinking and your thinking of chess, about chess in general. It's not my goal to point out the tiny tactical details and to play out the variations which you can find of your own just by running the engine. So in this analysis I will not rely on computer evaluation, and I will not show you some crazy computer lines, but instead I will just try to use common sense as best of my knowledge is at the moment, and to point out maybe some instances in which you can improve. So the goal of these videos and this analysis is just to help you improve, to have some player which is maybe stronger than you, just to point out some things in your game which maybe you miss if you do the analysis of your own. So this user is rated about a little less than 1500, and this is a long game. You can see the time control is 30 minutes. I think he even had some increment. And let's see the game. White opens the game with d4, and Black responds with d5. This is okay, classical response, I think, at this level, and in general, if you are below 2000 points, you should stick to classical principles. So answering d4 with d5 is perfectly fine. Knight to f3, developing move. And now when he plays knight to f3, we are not sure what does he want to do. Does he want to play Queen's Gambit, or maybe he's going for some kind of London system, or maybe even Cole system. So I think this move which Black played, the knight f6, is the best in this position because it's the least committing move. So you will play knight f6 anyhow. So whatever you choose, for example, if this transposes to Queen's Gambit, and you can choose, for example, Slav or semi-Slav or Queen's Gambit decline, whatever you choose, this knight will still end up on f6. So if you're not sure, this is a first lesson, let's say, so if you're not sure how to respond to the opening, just play the move which presents the least commitment. So this move is perfectly fine because it doesn't make any commitments, and you just now, as a Black, you wait to see what White will do. White played knight to e5. Okay, I will now analyze from the Black side, so I will not comment on White moves, maybe just briefly, like in this moment. So this is definitely not a good move. So you don't want to play with the same piece twice until you developed all pieces. This is the main principle, main opening principle, especially if you didn't develop any piece, and you don't want to play with your only developed piece twice, because the knight alone attacking the opponent's camp without support of any other pieces is it cannot do anything here. Okay, bishop to f5, so developing move. Also I say this is a very good move because in the queen pawns opening, the most challenging thing for Black is to develop his c8 or his queen bishop, because usually the pawns end up on the light squares, and then this bishop on c8 is locked in. So if you can put this bishop outside your pawn chain and without any consequences, this is always a good choice. White plays c4 in this position, so going for some kind of Queen's Gambit setup. Black responds to e6, which is okay because now the bishop is outside the pawn chain, so he can block the bishop up. So far black is playing good logical developing moves. Queen to a4 check. So again, I don't like this move for white, because white should think about his development. And well, so far he played with the same piece twice, and now he develops his queen very early in the game, and this violates two opening principles. One opening principle which says don't play with the same piece twice, and the second opening principle which states don't bring out your queen too early. So I don't think white is handling this very well. And well, now black can respond in several ways. The most natural way is just to block the check with c6, and you can just continue your normal game and your normal development. And black made the first mistake in his position, and he played knight to c6. So first of all, this is a tactically unsound move, because it just loses a pawn, because now you can see that this knight is attacked twice and defended only once. So it obviously, just by counting the number of attackers and the defenders, you can see that this move is tactically unsound. But also what I'm more interesting is this move is positionally unsound, because you don't want in your in the queen knight openings, you as a black, you don't want to put your knight in front of your c pawn. This also goes for white. This is why white wants to play a c4, so to bring the knight behind the pawn. So also here as a black, you don't want to put your knight on c6 when your pawn is here on c7. So you want either to play c5 at some point, this so-called liberating move for black, and then put your knight behind the pawn, or you want to develop your knight to d7, which is very nice square for knight, because it controls the center, and also it backups this defender of the king. And this knight on this knight on d7 also allows the advancement of this c pawn. So this knight c6 move is unsound, not just tactically but also positionally. So you don't want to have this constellation of pawn and knight in the queen pawns openings. White exploits this tactical mistake, so he takes the knight. You have to take back with your b pawn, and now white is up a pawn. Okay, and with a check and with double attack on the rook, so you cannot, for example, block this with your queen, because you'll just lose the rook. So okay, so he plays a knight to d7, blocking the check. A knight c3, so white is finally developing his pieces. Bishop to b4. Okay, I don't have nothing against this move. It pins the knight, and it develops a bishop. So you develop the bishop, you pin the knight, and you prepare for a castle. So this move does three things. So this is, by my understanding, a very logical, very sound, and very good move. White now plays e4, and this is a tactical mistake, because this pawn is undefended. It is defended by the knight, but knight is pinned. So this knight, it doesn't. It's like it doesn't exist on the board. So when you have a pinned piece, you can just imagine that this piece is not on the board at all. And well, you can now just grab the pawn, and you can do it either by with the pawn or with the bishop, and you only have to choose in which way you want to take the pawn. If you take with the bishop, he has this f3 move, after which you have to remove the bishop, and you can see that then this pawn is attacked twice and defended only once. I'm not counting this knight because it's pinned, so it doesn't exist. Okay, so at this position, if you first you have to notice that this pawn is virtually undefended, and then you have to think, do you want to take with this, or do you want to take with the pawn? And you can see if you take with the bishop, then the bishop can be kicked away, and then this pawn will fall. And if you take with the pawn, then everything is okay. So the best move is just to take with the pawn. But black here took the knight, and this is unnecessary, because why do you want to take this knight? This knight doesn't do anything because it's pinned. So you don't want to take this. This is the first consideration. The second thing is generally you don't want to trade your bishop for your opponent's knight without any good reason. So in principle, bishops are stronger than knights, especially if you have a bishop pair, and you do in this position. So you don't want to give away this bishop for this knight without any concrete reason, any concrete compensation. So the compensation can be, for example, if knight is very strong on the far outpost and it's endangering your position, or if you get I don't know, so some other, if your bishop is very bad and blocked by your pawns or something, and you don't see any perspective of your bishop, then you can trade it for a knight, and so on. If you get a tempo by trading, and several other reasons. But in this position, you don't have any reason, because this bishop is obviously better than this knight. This knight is pinned, doesn't do anything, and this bishop is your strong bishop. Also, maybe you have to know something about what is good, what is bad bishop. So your good bishop is the bishop which is placed on the opposite color of your center pawns. So you can see that your center pawns, your pawn chain here is on the light squares. So this means that this dark square bishop is your strong bishop, your good bishop. And this bishop, this is just theoretically, but it doesn't have its value in practice. So this light square bishop is your strong bishop. Your bad bishop. So you don't want to give your, so this is good bishop, dark square bishop, and light square bishop is a bad bishop in this position. So you don't want to give your good bishop away, even for his bishop. So if you can trade dark square bishop for his dark square bishop, you don't want to do this in this position, because this bishop is your strong bishop. And if you want to trade a light square bishop, for example, for his light square bishop, or with the knight, it's more likely to work. So this bishop to c3 is not a good move here. B takes c3 here, and now bishop takes c4. So again, you can choose to take this pawn in two ways, and you should just calculate what happens if you take with the bishop. The question you have to ask yourself is, can this bishop be somehow compromised or attacked? And you can see that it can be attacked by f3, and then after retreating, this pawn is hanging. So he took with the bishop. This is a tactical mistake. White exploits this by playing f3. You have to retreat your bishop to g6, and now this pawn is attacked twice and defended only once. So he can just take the pawn. And also there is another move which black has, and this is to play bishop a3. Sorry, for white. Bishop a3, now blocking keeping the king in the center basically forever, because this king cannot move, and then the king will be on the center, the queen is very close, and he can just bring his rook and start a very, very strong attack on your king. So this is even better. And this is one more reason, if you go back to the position. So when he took this knight, so he didn't only not gain anything, but he lost, because after b takes c3, he has this very strong move which keeps the king in the center forever. So this is also something you have to consider. When you take the knight, you change the pawn structure, and what does this pawn structure changes? It changes the fact that now this small c1 a3 diagonal is opened, and you can be in a great trouble thanks to it. Okay, let's get back to the position. So after this bishop retreats, he could have played this, but okay, he went for a pawn. C takes d5, e takes d5, and now he could just take the pawn back with the queen, and he will be, I think, 2 pawns up in this position. And or also he could just play bishop a3 with the same idea which I already told you about. But instead he played bishop f4. I guess attacking this pawn. Okay, I think this move or this move would be much better here for him. Queen to h4 check. Okay, I think in this position you can see that your king is exposed and your knight is pinned. So you have two motivations to move your king away. So I would castle here every time, even if there are some benefits of checking, I just don't see some good benefits. It's just a check for the sake of the check, and I think the castling should be much more important here. So especially if you are black, you should castle as soon as possible. And especially if you are lower rated, then well, after you develop your knight and your bishop, you just have to castle and to get your king into safety, because here he can just castle long and then he can deliver checks on your king and whatnot. So, but okay, so queen to h4 check, blocked with g3. Well, maybe he was thinking that this is double attack, so check and attacking the bishop, but the only logical way to block the check also protects the bishop, or he can just retreat the bishop on g3, again protecting the bishop and blocking the check. So g3, queen to e7 check, and now bishop to e2 blocking the check. And now you should, well, your tactical antenna should be turned on here, because you can see that this piece is pinned. So you should think about ways how to exploit this. Maybe not immediately, but maybe in the future. The usual tactics is just to the usual method is just to pile up on the pinned piece. But okay, black decided to castle here, and I think this is good, because you don't. Also, one word of advice: don't go in the attack and think about tactics and think about capturing pieces, or I don't know, if your king is not safe. And here the king is not safe, and the knight is pinned, and also the queen is aligned with the king, so there are some possible ideas, maybe also of skewer, or I don't know. So to castle here is a good decision. Queen takes c7 here, so he just cashes in on the pawn, and now, like I said, there is this tactical motive. So the bishop is pinned, so you have to think how to attack the bishop. And the best way to do is by play bishop to d3 here, and then maybe rook to e8, and then you can just pile up on the piece. So when you have a pinned piece, you pile up on the piece. He played rook f to e8, which is not so accurate. He does threaten the checkmate here, so this is nice. But for example, if white would just castle here, this is undefended, but you cannot take, because if you take, he'll just take your knight. So you have to notice that here a queen has the role of protecting the knight. So it cannot move without leaving this defensive position. So this rook f to e8 is not accurate, because he could just castle. But he made a big mistake. He played bishop to e5. You can see that both pieces are pinned to the king. And well, there has to be some tactics when you have this kind of alignment. And here the tactic is very simple. You can see that he cannot move away this bishop, because he'll get checkmated. So you can just play f6, and you win a piece, because if he moves, you can just deliver a checkmate. So you have to see in this kind of position, that this calls for some kind of tactical shot. Okay. Instead, black played knight takes e5, just deciding to exchange the pieces. D takes e5. And now, well, maybe you can see that this is obviously not the best move, because now the queen is hanging. So this is another thing you want to be aware of when you are evaluating the position. You should always look for undefended pieces. So pinned piece is also a very strong indication that there should be some tactics, and undefended piece. So this queen is undefended. So if you would just scan the position and see, okay, what are weak points? What pieces are undefended? You can see, okay, this pawn is undefended, this pawn is defended, so this pawn is undefended, and this queen is undefended. And you can see that then you can start think about tactics, how to exploit these points. And well, the obvious move is just to take the queen and win the game. Okay, so this is the mistake. The correct response for white would just be to take the queen. You take back and then take the knight, and white is okay. Okay, so but the black missed this free queen and played queen takes e5 instead. Okay. White decides to exchange queens, which is a good idea because well, you can see this this everything is aligned to king, and the checkmate is hanging, so this is the only move basically. So queen takes e5, rook takes e5, f4. Okay, now grabbing some space, kicking away the rook. Rook to e7, this is okay. Rook to d1, so going after the pawn, but still you can see that this piece is pinned. And now you cannot play rook to d3 here, but there are some other ways to challenge this pinned piece, and the black sees this and plays bishop to h5. Now with the double attack of this bishop, g4, so white is trying to somehow block the bishop, but this is not accurate move because you can just take the pawn. And now white castles, and well, this piece just is lost. So bishop takes e2, rook d to e1, and now there are some few possibilities for black. One is just to exchange. So for example, take the rook, he takes the rook, and then you can, I don't know, go. You have to move away. So you can maybe go here, and this is the winning position. So this is just one way to win the game. Black went for doubling rook, which is also okay. Rook to f2, bishop to c4. Now this bishop was attacked, and now he wants to exchange pieces, and white exchanges for him. So one rook down. So in this position, you just want to exchange and to win the easy end game with piece and the pawns. So rook to b2, rook to e1 check. This is all okay. King to f2. Now rook to e8. Maybe this is not. Maybe. Okay, I'm just thinking about if this rook could be made more active, maybe, because you are. Okay, by playing rook to e8, you are defending your back rank, and but it is okay because it's winning anyway. But this is a passive move. So basically you want to keep your pieces active. So maybe you could play something like rook to f1 check, and then make a window for your king, so you don't have to worry about being back rank mated. But okay, this is rook e8, okay move, queen to g3, f5, now blocking the advance of the king, it's okay, a4, rook to e3 check, and now, okay, so check, and also you can take this pawn, so king to f2, you take this pawn, king to b8, and now, okay, thanks to this f5 move, you have to running square, king to f7, and he plays rook to b6, giving away his rook, and he probably realized this immediately and he resigned. Okay, so this is the game, and you can see, well, this game was 30 minutes plus, I think, increment, plus some increment. I think it was a 20 seconds increment, and well, you can see the time. So white was playing very quickly. He ended up having more time on his clock, but also black didn't use his time very well, so he spent only 10 minutes out of 30. And this is why you miss tactics. I mean, if you have time on disposal, then use the time. So this is one of the things, also one advice I can give. So if you have 30 minutes, use 30 minutes, especially if you have increment. Then most of the games are decided between moves 30 and 40. So you can almost, I mean, don't take me literally, but you can almost spend all your time by the move 35 and then just play on the increment the rest of the game, because most likely the game will be decided up to the move 35. Okay, don't take this literally, but this is some kind of well, rule of thumb, because if you don't use all your times, you will miss. You will certainly miss some things which you would not have missed if you have used all your time. This especially goes with some basic tactics. If you just give yourself enough time and evaluate the position, look for undefended pieces, look for tactical motives like pinned piece here or something like this. You will most likely see some things which you will not see if you play very fast. So time is your resource in the game of chess, and you should use this resource maximally. If you don't, if you are impatient, if you don't want to play game, you spend 30 minutes on the game, or an hour if you both have 30 minutes, then don't play classical chess and just play blitz. So if you play a 15 minutes game, use your 15 minutes. If you play 30 minutes game, use your 30 minutes. And don't be intimidated by your opponent if he plays fast. You can just take your time and spend all the time you have, and in this way you will you will not miss tactics as much as you miss if you play fast. Also, for this particular player, I can give him two advices. One is to work on his elementary tactics, because he missed some very elementary tactics here. I mean very simple tactics, one move, two move tactics. This is what I mean by elementary. And I think the best way to do this is just to log in on Lichess, go to puzzles and select. You have now this new option to select the easiest puzzles, and just do the easiest puzzles. Just do 1 hour a day easiest puzzles, and this will help you a lot. And for this positional things, like for example, not putting your knight on c6 when your pawn is on c7 and similar things, I recommend John Bartholomew's videos. So go to International Master John Bartholomew. He has a YouTube channel, and there are two playlists which I recommend. One is Chess Fundamentals. Yeah, I think it has 5 videos, and another one is Climbing the Rating Ladder. It has many videos. Just go from the beginning. The International Master Bartholomew plays with lower rated players, and while he plays, he gives very valuable instructions about this basic positional aspects. So this would be my recommendation for this viewer to watch and to hopefully improve his game, because well, he has he really has a room for improvement. So if only he would just take hold on these basic tactics, and maybe watch few videos about strategic elements, he could go much higher in his rating than he's at this moment. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you find this video instructive and useful. If you do, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, leave the comment below, and if you want to join the Patreon, you can also find the link below in the description, and see you very soon. Cheers.